We need to talk. Hey y'all, my name is Kayla and welcome to my cozy cat corner of the internet. So in today's video, we are discussing what are we doing? We're discussing my reading wrap up for the month of August. Now I will note, I don't have all the physical books. I did a lot of ebook reading, audiobook reading, and also checked out a lot of books from my library. So that was fun and enjoyable. So with all of that noted, let's actually just hop into things. I will note this will probably be a quicker video than usual because a lot of the books in this video are being featured elsewhere where I'll go more in depth on the specific books. Oh, I should probably let you guys know my rating scale. I always like to inform y'all of my personal reading scale before I start this video because obviously it's predominantly a book rating video, so it just makes sense to let you guys know where I stand. So personally, I only give books full star, whole star ratings. I know to some people that may just like blow your mind. And no, it's not because Goodreads uses the full star rating as well. To be quite frank, I actually don't use Goodreads. If you guys ever see me rating something on Goodreads, it's because I just decided to rate it on my Kindle. So that automatically ties to my Goodreads account. I actually personally use Storygraph. I find that their app layout is so much simpler. You don't get inundated with 1,000,001 ads. I feel like the books that are being recommended are far more diverse than what you see on Goodreads. And also, I just love a good infographic breakdown, and Storygraph does that. It literally like has all these graphs and pie charts of like your reading history, and I'm just like obsessed with it. So sorry, back to the rating scale. The reason I give full star, whole star ratings is because I feel like honestly, if you're truly interested in someone's rating and review, you'll read and or listen to their actual telling of the book, which adds far more context than a half of a point, you know? So 5 stars means it's 110% absolute perfection. I would not change a single hair on that book. It was phenomenal. I loved it. I'm obsessed with it. 4 stars is pretty close to a 5 star. There's just like some notes that I have for the book. 3 stars means it was good. It was all right. It was an enjoyable book. I had a good time. Is it a standout read? No, but that doesn't mean it's a bad book. 2 stars means it was a book that I read. And 1 star means, why did I even waste my time reading this book? It should have been DNF'd. So with all that noted, let's actually hop, as always, into our DNFs. First, I do want to note, typically I have a spiel about how I give my DNFs ratings. I'm not going to do that this video because I didn't rate any of the books I DNF'd. To start, my Dark Romeo. This is a beautiful book. It's gorgeous. It's stunning. For the aesthetics, you should own this book. For the contents, I would say if you have 2 brain cells, maybe not. That's no offense to anyone who has read this book and really loved and enjoyed it. It is just not my cup of tea, and the bits and bobs that I did read of it, I was just like, how is anyone taking this seriously? Like, I'm assuming if you enjoyed this book, it's because it was just like a fun, ridiculous read. I'm really not trying to insult anyone who enjoyed this book. I don't get it. I started reading it, and to start, our main female character, I can't even remember her name. What's her name? It'll say at the beginning. Dallas. Dallas just seems like a vapid Southern belle debutante. I couldn't stand her. And then we have this like rough, brooding main male character named Romeo. So I read like, I think the first 2 chapters, I'm like, this is absolutely ludicrous and I'm not going to waste my time reading this book. But I knew that this book was going to get a little spicy, a little smutty. And I was like, I love a good smut. Let's see what the smut is like in this book. So I skipped to a section where I'm like, oh, okay, things are getting hot and steamy here. And Dallas, who's our main female character, and Romeo, who's the main male character, they get married because they're forced to get married, apparently. They're both from like high society, super wealthy, like, and when I say super wealthy, I mean like the 1% of the 1%. They're on their way to their honeymoon in Paris, and they're on a private jet where for some reason they start like heavy petting, making out. I'm like, okay, interesting. And then I skip a few pages ahead to they're finally in Paris. Like, Romeo is pretty much wanting nothing to do with Dallas. He's just like, I'm here for business. You can do whatever the heck you want. I'll be back later. And he comes back to their hotel, or their room, their hotel. I don't know what's going on. Dallas is a virgin because she's a sweet Southern belle in her early 20s who has never canoodled with the noodle, if you know what I mean. And she is just very adamant on doing the deed. She's like, I just want to see what it's all about. We're married. Let's just do it. And Romeo, for some reason, he has a stick up his butt and he's like, I'm not, no. And then finally, you know, things get a little hot and heavy. And I don't know the physics behind this, but pretty much he ends up just like penetrating her while she's still wearing her underwear. Underwear is going in with, and he's also still wearing his underwear. Okay, so there's just a lot of underwear involved in this scenario. And after the fact, Dallas is like, is that what they call dry humping? And Romeo's like, sure. Next on the DNF list. So technically, I DNF this book on July 30th, but I don't recall if I mentioned it in my July reading wrap up. So I'm just gonna like reintegrate it into my August reading wrap up because of how disappointed I was with this book. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I got, I think, 5 chapters into this book. I tried to read the book again a couple other times, and each time I got to about the same point where I was like, I can't. I'm not digging it. I'm not vibing with it. So y'all, I really need you to let me know if I should give Ninth House another chance. Like, do I have to be in a certain mood? Do I have to like light some candles? Have a certain vibe going on? Why can I not get in this book? Because in theory, this book is everything that I love and adore. It's dark academia, it's mystery, it's intrigue, it's everything. And everyone who I follow on BookTube has said nothing but wonderful things about this book, and I just can't seem to get into it. And I think it has to do with the paranormal portion of it, because I just can't do paranormal. You're telling me that Alex, our main character, can see these ghosts that people call grays, and everyone else just sees them in monotone, which is why they're called grays, but Alex can see them in full color? If you loved this book, please tell me what I need to do to read and enjoy this book, because I've tried so many times. You let me know. And the final book that I DNF'd, and this is a soft DNF. This is not I'm DNFing it and never returning it to it ever again, like my Dark Romeo. That is a very hard and firm, no pun intended, DNF. Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I started this book, and I think I just started it in a time where I just wasn't in the right headspace to really start any book, to be quite frank, because I'm pretty sure I actually started this after I had finished Divine Rivals, and we'll get to Divine Rivals in a second, but I couldn't get into it. I wasn't really paying attention. I was just kind of like absentmindedly listening / reading it, and we'll come back to Starling House. It has footnotes in it. In the audiobook, it interjects the footnotes literally where the footnote is noted, so it just really disrupts the flow of the story that you're being told. I did not like that at all, So I think I have to physically sit down and read Starling House to enjoy it. Now that we're done with our DNFs, we go up the scale from 1 star all the way to 5 stars. And today we are starting with a 2 star in The Wedding Party. It was so disjointed. That's how I'm going to explain it. It had a lot of buildup, and then all of a sudden, like, all of the interesting stuff that would happen in a mystery of like finding out who the person is, finding the person, getting rid of the person. Like, it all happened within a matter of what felt like 10 pages at the very end. I couldn't stand it. And there was like an element of the story at the very beginning that was very haphazardly tied in to like the end, and it didn't make any sense. There was like this one character who's brought up, and it seems a little suspicious that this character exists, and then she's never brought up again. It was just like, there were so many loose ends, and how they even wrapped it up at the end of the book. It's a fast read. That's all I'll say. Actually, let's talk about some books that I read in the month of August that are a part of a project that I'm currently working on. And I'm not going to speak about the books aside from just letting you know that I did read these books so that we can have a tally at the end of how many books I started in August. So we have Slammed, Maybe Not, Finding Perfect, and It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Yep, you'll be seeing a video about Miss Hoover in the future, but I did read those books, so I still want to note that I did read them. Also, I read Macbeth for, I think this is my 3rd or 4th time reading Macbeth, and I just want to note that when it comes to Shakespeare, I am of the belief that you should consume Shakespeare in the format it was intended to be consumed in, which is as a play. I think it makes more sense. It's more dynamic to watch it instead of reading it. But I did read Macbeth / I also found a really good audio play of it on Spotify. So I will link that down below because I thought it was really fun, really dynamic, really immersive. So if you want to consume Macbeth outside of like actually watching the play, really good audio format that you can listen to it as well. Next, let's hop into our 3 stars. We have 3 stars. We have Cinderella is Dead by Kalynn Bayron. This is a really fun book. I will be discussing this more in depth in a Can You Judge a Book by Its Cover video, which should be out next week. So you guys should be seeing this video next week if you are watching this video on release day. On to our 4 stars for the month of August. We are going to start with Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Look at all those tabs. I think this is the most actively participating in reading this. So I was listening to the audiobook. I was also reading it while listening to the audiobook. Clearly, I was highlighting, tabbing everything up the wazoo with this book. And it was actually really draining and exhausting. Like, after I had finished reading it, I was exhausted. I was tired. I had such a good time with the book, but holy smokies, to be so actively involved in consuming a book can be really draining. And I honestly went into like a little bit of a reading slump after finishing this book. And that's quite apparent in the fact that I started Starling House after I had finished this, and I just was like, I need a little breather. I need a little break. I think I went a whole week or so without reading a book after reading this one. I think the main reason I didn't give it a 5 star and I only gave it a 4 star is because towards the end, I felt like a lot of things like, I hate when writers do this, where they like take all this time to really build characters and build plot and develop things, and like they take their time with it, because I love when like we have time to get to know characters and get to know the story and like, you know, really engage with what's occurring and learning about what's occurring in this world. And then towards the end of Divine Rivals, everything seemed to go really fast. Like there's just so many things were going, and it just felt like it ended on a cliffhanger, which makes sense because it is a 2-part book. It's a duology. There's a second book. I haven't started yet. I did buy it though. I do own it. So we'll be getting to that, but it just felt like, because there's a second book, I don't know, I felt like we could have just taken a little bit more time with like fleshing out what was going on at the end, and we didn't. So it was fun. I really enjoyed it. But again, just that tail end of the book where things just felt too fast, too sudden, too many sequence of events happening too quickly in a row occurred, which is why this is a 4-star and not a 5-star. Another 4-star was The Mystery Writer by Sulari Gentil. This is actually a book that I read for another project that I am working on, so you guys will hear more about The Mystery Writer in October. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you're notified when I talk about The Mystery Writer. On to our last and final 4-star and final book. No 5 stars this month. The funny thing is all these 4 stars easily could have been 5 stars, but I had some key thoughts and notes for each of the 4-star books. This was so fun. So the story of this book is that there are these group of friends from college. They're all really tight-knit, really good friends. Unfortunately, one of them is no more in their college years. And so they all kind of go their separate ways after that. But they return for a reunion of sorts at the homecoming. I think it's like their 10-year anniversary homecoming situation. And during this reunion, they all kind of get pulled into solving the case of their friend's death because her brother pretty much forces them to. And so it's just so fun. It goes back and forth between like current time or present time and when she passed and like their college years and current time. And it's just all of the characters were morally gray. They all had like their quirks. It was really interesting because it kind of like towards the end gave you each of their perspectives on the sequence of events that happened leading up to their friend passing away. And that I really enjoyed. Our main character, she's a little full of herself. She's very vapid. I'm going to say that if you don't like a character that's all about themselves, you probably won't like this book for like the first few chapters, because she just kind of goes on these monologues about how she's like going to prove everyone wrong. Her entire life she's always tried to really fit in and be like the it girl, and maybe that's why I didn't like it. I really don't like characters that are like that, but she becomes such a good unreliable narrator. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. It's a good one. I would highly encourage you to read it if you like unreliable narrators, if you like morally gray characters, if you like kind of like that timeline hopping. Typically, I don't like timeline hopping. For this book, it worked so well. So well. But with that, y'all, those are the books I read and started to read in August. So how many books is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 books. Not bad. I will note I did have a TBR of 5 books. Those 5 books were Tainted Cup, which clearly I didn't read. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, read that. Was Divine Rivals? Divine Rivals, I believe, was on the list. And then there were 2 others. I don't remember. I'll include it here. Here's the list of books I was supposed to read. I only read 2 of them. You know, totally fine. There's no penalties. We just did a TBR pickle jar. And for the month of September, boy, oh my God. If you guys didn't read my September TBR list video, right there, it's right over there. Check it out. It's gonna be a doozy, but I'm really trying to make October fun. So my September TBR list is technically built out for videos you guys will be watching in October. So with that noted, I hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and I will see y'all in the next one.